This paper's topic is a report about an extensive VAVE study on textile machinery with a special consideration of the value-creating chain. Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I am Sebastian Meindl from Germany, and I hope that I will be able to present papers like this, that was in Austin 2018, soon as possible again. So this paper shows how a very challenging cost reduction goal for a textile machinery for textile fabric production could be achieved. In order to be competitive on a specialized regional market, the manufacturing cost of this machine must be reduced by approximately 50%. To fulfill this request, the scope of the value study had to be increased drastically, as well as the degrees of freedom and creativity. Even in this study, value analysis is still the core element in order to achieve the goal. But the value study itself is embedded in the framework investigating deeply into customers' and markets' requirements on the one hand, and on the other hand, investigating into the company's value-creating chain, including overseas production facilities, logistics, and intercompany transaction conditions. Subteams have been set up accordingly to the different scopes of work. As a result of the project, an outstanding cost reduction transferable to market prices in order to achieve full competitiveness could be accomplished. So, in the South Asian market, a big sales opportunity for a certain machinery product is emerging. Our customer basically is able to deliver a machine capable to produce this kind of product. Unfortunately, the machine output, in terms of performance, is not good enough at the moment. Additionally, the current machine is price-wise not competitive by far. So, our customer modified the product by increasing the working width and keeping operation speed at the same level in order to increase the productivity. As a side effect, manufacturing costs increased at the same time, which worsens the competitional situation even more. In order to be successful on the market, manufacturing cost must be almost halved. It got obvious that even a very successful value study can't deliver the result. An even more holistic analysis had to be applied in order to reach the goal. The total value creating chain, including sourcing, manufacturing, transportation, packaging, tariff situation, and intercompany charges have to be considered. Company's infrastructure. Our customer, with its headquarters in Germany, is already active on Asian markets since decades. Since more than 25 years, our customer also provides manufacturing capability in different local markets. In this specific market, a well-equipped factory is available and could be considered for local manufacturing if applicable. But the distribution of workload has to be considered as well. Being active in global markets make it necessary to balance the workload in the factories. In order to perform a drastic adaptation on the special market requirement, it was necessary to investigate not only in the product itself, but also in the basic requirements on the one hand and the value creating chain on the other hand. In an early stage of the project, the customer requirements had to be double-checked. It goes without saying that the central phase of the project has to be performed with a classical approach of a product-related value analysis project. As you can see on this slide, the study was structured into three main steps. Step 1 with the duty book analysis, checking the initial situation, market situation, customer requirements, defining the standard equipment and the options, market specialties, specifications, and applications. In the partly parallel process, step 2.1 and 2.2, the product itself and the value creating chain were analyzed. As you can see in step 2.1, function analysis, function cost analysis, creativity phase, evaluation, and building of reasonable scenarios. And in the value creating chain analysis, and analysis like footprint, make or buy, local sourcing, final assembly concepts, and many more. In order to comply with the complexity of the value study and the variety of the tasks to be fulfilled, 3 sub-teams have been formed according to the 3 steps described in the chapters hereinafter. A steering committee led through the whole process, while specialist teams for the 3 steps were defined. Every team is a cross-functional team within their fields of work. Of course, for the duty book analysis, the emphasis was in product management and sales, and in the value creating chain, the emphasis was on people of operations. The determination of the specifications for the machine is the basis for value creation. Before starting, it must be clear which customer is to be served with the machine, which application is to be made possible with it, which services are to be achieved at which market prices. Further design areas are thus made possible, but the requirements for the machine type are also determined over the product life cycle. This is the content of the duty book analysis, step 1, requirements and specifications. So what are the customer requirements today and the future? What are the buying decision criteria? What are the markets served today? What are the special requirements? What is the sales argumentation and the approaches in the market served today? Who are the competitors and how do their products perform? Which needs for action and differentiation chances exist for our product? What is the standard equipment? What is option? What is not available at the moment? How shall the future machine differentiate in the market and competitional situation? And what, at the end, is the correct specification for this future machine? The actual value design work on the product takes place in an interdisciplinary team and deals with the constructive design of the product functions as well as the added value in production, assembly, and procurement. That is the content of the value analysis, step 2. So function analysis, what are the functions of the machine? Which functions are necessary, which are not? How are the costs distributed? What are the cost drivers? How are the costs distributed among the functions of the machine? In which priority must be the function and assemblies be examined? In the creativity phase, we have brainstorming or brainwriting on the cost-driving components and processes, which was the main component of the project. And at the end, the evaluation phase with a rough assessment, potential assessment, risk assessment, and to compress the measures into one or more conclusive concepts or scenarios. Beyond the design of the machine, it is clear that the value creation concept holds further potential for achieving the manufacturing cost targets. These can also only be worked out and raised in an interdisciplinary team. This requires the input of different areas within the company. The areas that are actively involved in the value creation. That is the analysis of the value creation chain, step 2.2. So we were investigating into the manufacturing facilities, the assembly sites, internal suppliers, external suppliers in Europe, external suppliers in China or other markets, assignment of core components and parts, and other topics that occur and are processed in the project. So, what have been the results of the duty book analysis? Moving standard equipment to options when clear that the majority of customer does not need. Limitation of boundary conditions, for instance, ambient temperatures, humidity, and so on. Exact definition of performance parameters exactly coordinated to customers' manufacturing process. The impact of these product strategic decisions is about 10% of the total manufacturing cost. Here are the results of the VA part. So the core element of this study or project was the value analysis on the product itself. By analyzing functions, function cost for the as-is state and for the should-be state as well, the creative phase could be prioritized on the costliest functions and items, where customer is not willing to spend more money than really needed. Hundreds of ideas on almost all functions represented by their function carriers in terms of main assemblies, sub-assemblies, and single parts could be created. By evaluation of every single action item, the value impact in terms of cost, risk, and implementation effort could be determined. A feasible and reasonable composition of ideas and measures could be given to implement in the specialist departments. With a sum of all reasonable, an additional 22% cost saving in comparison to the project reference could be accomplished. The results of the investigation in the value creating chain of this special company, again, a significant cost reduction potential could be discovered. In detail, following topics delivered an impact on the cost situation. Adjusting lot sizes for significant parts and assemblies. Purchasing effects, negotiation of key components, bundling purchasing parts in order to get higher lot sizes and lower prices. Optimization in manufacturing processes, lot sizes, introduction of fixtures, for instance, for welded parts. Choosing the right manufacturing facility, utilization of manufacturing in overseas locations. Introduction and establishment of new suppliers for costly core components. The total cost reduction impact of this process step was about 15% of the manufacturing cost of the project reference. So I now come to my conclusion. The objective of the project was to reduce the cost of machinery for processing textile fabrics by almost 50%. Although function and performance of the machine must exactly match with customers' expectations for a very delimited market. With utilization of a framework of analysis and investigation beyond the underlying product value analysis study in terms of duty book on the one hand and value creation chain on the other hand, a more than significant cost reduction of around 47% based on the predefined reference situation could be accomplished. The company is implementing or has already implemented the measures defined in the study and will launch the product in the specific markets in 2021. Thank you for listening. I'm looking forward to your questions. Bye-bye.